Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. I thank you again for joining me today. And today's lesson, I'm going to speak about the lost sheep. Who are the lost sheep? What group was Yeshua referring to? Who are they? Are they important? Now, I'm gonna read some scriptures, and hopefully you just follow along with me. Check on the Bible. Don't believe me. Don't take my word for it. Read the scriptures. Follow up on me. I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 10. Verses 5 through 7, and this is going to give you, an answer to who the lost sheep is. Okay, and we'll start out with 5. Uh, these 12, these 12 Yeshua sent forth and commanded them, saying, "Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." And the house of Israel was 12 tribes. It wasn't just the tribe of Judah, it was 12 tribes. And if you're a biblical student and everything, right around 70 BC, uh, Israel, the northern 10 tribes were conquered and enslaved and exiled away from their uh, homes by the Assyrians. And before that, though, the reason they were divided was King Rehob, excuse me, but Solomon's sin. That Yahweh said, because you've sacrificed, to false idols and everything else, I'm going to take most of the kingdom away from you. And he and when Solomon died, he took 10 of the tribes away. But the tribes that stayed with the kingdom of Judah was the Benjaminites, and then eventually the Levites come down because Jeroboam kicked them out and wanted to start a new religion, so nobody go down to the temple, in Judea to, worship and be persuaded to reunite, with Judah. So, and then of course, and I think it was like 586 BC. That's when the Babylonians came and conquered Judah. But the lost sheep were the 10 tribes of Israel. Now, the last time that Israel was together as a whole, believe it or not, we could find that in Nehemiah chapter 7. And it states here in verse 73, says, "So the priests and the Levites and the porters and the singers and some of the people and the Nethinims and all Israel dwelt in the cities. And when the 7th month came, the children of Israel were in the city." So they said all Israel, not all of the Jews, all Judah. No, nothing like that, And they came together because, they rebuilt Jerusalem. They put the walls up, the temple dedications, everything. And the 10 tribes who were lost still remembered their heritage, even though they didn't quite remember the true religion of Yahweh when they got, exiled. But apparently they remembered, and they come back and help celebrate with the Jews. They all came together to dedicate this solemn occasion. And it was all, the Bible is specific. It said all Israel. That means the 12 tribes. They came back from all over the areas, and they didn't live there. They just come there to celebrate, and they went back to their homes. If they lived in Persia, Media, wherever, Babylon, wherever they lived, and especially a lot of the Jews. The Jews probably most likely went there, celebrated, and then they went back to the home in Babylon and right in the area there. They went there. But, a small group of Jews stayed there. Roughly 40 some thousand stayed there and rebuilt and lived there, and and that was that, but that was look that up, Nehemiah 7 verse 73. And I'm gonna go to Matthew chapter 15. Chapter 15, this is when Yeshua ran into a Canaanite widow or woman, a Canaanite woman, and about her faith. This is about her faith and everything, but he talks about he says a striking thing here, and it says right here, and start 15. This is verse 21 to 28. Then Yeshua went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O master, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a demon. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. So it ain't like Yeshua's here to save the world, I mean, he had a purpose in his first coming. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So he was there, to preach the gospel and do this and that. And he was there for the house of Israel. And he's also here to, die and be buried and resurrected after 3 days and 3 nights. Then came she, worshipped him, saying, Master, help me. But he answered and said, It is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to dogs. And she said, Truth, master, yet the dogs eat of the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Yeshua answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith, be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from the very hour. So here it says, of course the woman had faith, and, she, impressed the Messiah. But the point is, he said, I come to for the house of Israel, the lost sheep, and he had a purpose in that. He had a purpose for doing that. Now, I'm going to go to James, the book of James, of course, chapter 1, verse 1. This is an introduction. And this is, when apostles or the writers of the, epistles or whatever, they always send greetings and stuff like that. And here's what James wrote. James, the servant of Yahweh and the master Yeshua Messiah, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So he wants this letter to be sent to the 12 tribes that are scattered all over the lands. And he did that. He most likely it went around this letter because we've got it now. So this thing's been preserved. It's went around. It's been copied, recopied, and everything else. It's been around. And today, people often wonder and ask, where are the 12 tribes or the 10 lost tribes? Do they exist? Did they exist? But yeah, they did and they do. The modern descendants. And I've got it's a shock to a lot of people to find out who they are. The wealthiest, the greatest nation on earth, as prophesied in Genesis, with Jacob blessing Joseph's 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he blessed them, and it as the greatest nation will come out of you, but also a company of nations, which, with all the research and everything, it's obvious that it's, the modern descendants are, the English-speaking people like United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, and them, and France, of course, and, you got Scandinavia and the Netherlands. Those are the lost 10 tribes, and research has proven that way beyond a shadow of a doubt. They've proved it, and if you look at some of my book reviews, I recommend books about that. Just look them up and everything. If you want to do a study on them, you're welcome to. I mean, and that's why Yeshua, when the Jews rejected him as the chief cornerstone, the Messiah, and whatever, he said, well, I got 10 more options. So, out of anybody in the world, it was the English speaking people and that basically helped spread the gospel. They accepted the gospel. They spread it regardless of the religious confusion and everything else. went on and still going on, it was them that are spreading the good news. And like I said, look up some of my book reviews where I recommend some books on the subject of modern Israel, and they give you a history of old Israel and what happened, and they're not really lost at all. It's just, academia just likes to suppress that stuff. Don't want to bring it up, don't want to talk about it, That's what happens when truth comes out, even scientific truth, when it comes out, and certain people don't want it mentioned because it might hurt their book sales or their reputations, and they don't want to have any say any retractions or anything. I mean, it's their livelihood, and they can't go into universities and say such heresy because they might lose their job and never find a job, be blacklisted. But anyways, I just wanted to clear up who the lost sheep was, and it's clear in the Bible. It's right there. And study those, look up those passages, study them. And like I said, look up some of those books I did my book review, and you could probably get some used ones and real cheap. Look them up, read them for yourself with an open mind. And that's all I really have to say right now. I thank you again for joining me. Till we meet again, peace out and shalom.